Yeah, we're up at the Oregon Garden and we're gonna do a tour on the tram. We're gonna take the ride. There we go.
I know if it's on of the beep.
I don't know. Probably the
I,
way you're sleeping.
every time when I turn around to look behind me, my shoulder cramps up on me.
Okay, here we go. Maybe. Zzz. I need a seatbelt for my drink.
And you can put it right here.
Here we go. We're going backwards.
All right, thank you for joining me here. We're going to get started now. This will be about a 20 to 25 minute tour through the Oregon Garden. We do actually have 120 acres here. Out of those acres, though, 80 of them are fully developed and landscaped into our smaller themed gardens, which I'll point out to you all along the way here. First thing we're going to do is get into our wetlands. Now, wetlands are a series of 25 man-made ponds. They were developed for the city of Silverton, help with the problem of their water. As the city of Silverton actually owns the land we're on, as the Oregon Garden is a non-profit agency. We'll start out with some artwork here. Take a look out my left window and you can see Bufo, the jumping toad. Here's Bufo, and he is our guardian of our wetlands, one of the many art sculptures that were originally commissioned in the year 2000. Just a little time before
on that edge
here. We broke ground here at the Oregon Garden in the mid-90s. 2001 was the official grand opening. So head into our Conifer garden here. All along my left, we're going to see the beautiful conifer trees.
Definitely need to be on that edge.
Conifers are cone-bearing trees, and we have one of the largest collections anywhere. It's well over 500 different variety of these conifer trees here. They come to us from all over. A lot of them come from the Northwest, but we also get them from the Northeast and the South and the Midwest, even from other countries. In fact, the American Conifer Society recognizes us as their reference garden to our large variety. Here's a great example of a conifer coming from another country. Take a look at this one right up my left window. It grows so differently than all the others. It is called cobra. It comes to us from Norway. All right, out of the conifer garden and into the Bosque. That's going to be on our left. These beautiful maple trees here. Yeah, there are 40 of these maple trees. We're actually a hybrid maple developed for the Oregon Garden. And you can see these maple trees, which are called Pacific Sunset Maple, just beginning to turn color a little bit. Give it a couple weeks and they're just going to be gorgeous in all the different colors through here. Now the Bosque here is also used for events all throughout the summer months, just about every weekend, wedding conference or wedding receptions in there. Now on the other side of the road here we have what we call the Amazing Water Garden. That's on my right. The Amazing Water Garden is a series of smaller ponds and then a maze of trails that wander around those ponds. That way you get a chance to take a look at the aquatic plant life as well as the wildlife that comes and goes through here. We do have a family of ducks that reside in the Amazing Water Garden, and also Mr. Ed, the silver water dragon. Get a chance to see that too. Here on my left, right out my left window, you can see that magnolia tree with those golden, beautiful white blossoms, as they are still blossoming all throughout the summer and still going. Now this is the honor garden right out my left window here. You can see those totem posts back in there. They are paying tribute to the original founders of the Oregon Garden. Those would be members of the Oregon Nurserymen's Association. This is the sensory garden here. You can see that water feature there called the rain curtain. Very popular on hot days, if you can imagine. Now, The sensory garden wants to challenge you to use different senses here in this part of the garden. Example would be this tree right out my left window with the little red blossoms and some of the white ones there. That is called a clerodendron tree. You rub its leaves and it smells like peanut butter. Yes, that indeed, and we got 2 of those trees here. See how we planted some of these spruce trees together. Make that archway over the compass section there. And all along my left side, as we head down the hill here, we're going to see what we call the home and demonstration gardens. Now, these home demonstration gardens were originally developed by local nurseries in the area. They wanted to give people ideas and things they can do in their own home garden. So if you need some help or some ideas, this is where to get them as you wander through here. We also have some fuchsias, and that would be on the other side of the road on my right. On the hillside here, this is our hardy fuchsia garden. Back on the other side, we have our edible garden. Just about everything in the edible garden on my left has something you can eat on it. You can see different types of apples and pears, also plums, lots of different cherries, different berries as well, elderberry, mulberry. This is a persimmon right here on my left, and just past that, our last tree, this is a quince tree. And that's all part of the edible garden on our left. On my right side here, we have what we call the medicinal garden. Now, the medicinal garden is called that because there are plants in here that have been used for medical purposes, such as the echinacea plant. And you can see our compost and demonstration area here on the left, and look at the beautiful wisteria there. Isn't that gorgeous the way it winds its way through the trellis there? Should have been here this summer when that wisteria was blooming bright purple blossoms there. Well, the Oregon Garden hasn't always been here. It was in the mid-90s when this land was acquired. And before that, this was an Arabian horse ranch. Yes, they raised horses here. This building on my right was the riding arena for their horses. Well, since we don't have horses here at the Oregon Garden, we did a renovation, put in a concrete floor. This is our main event hall. We use it all year round for many events here at the Oregon Garden. You see these orange canna lilies here. It's an annual, and they're doing quite well, just right at the end of their season here. One more wisteria plant on my right. Look at how big that wisteria plant is that surrounds that round storage unit there. All right, as I turn the corner here, we'll be at the front, or the main entrance to our pavilion building called the J. Frank Schmidt Jr. Pavilion. Again, the Schmidt Pavilion used all year round for many different events, lots of weddings, wedding receptions, conferences, conventions, workshops, memorials, reunions. Also, the mayor's ball was here, as well as the local high school prom. You can hear that waterfall here that flows into the lily pond. That lily pond is also full of koi. I can see one of the koi fish right now. On the other side of the koi pond there, you'll see, which is the peace garden. Now, on the other side of the bricks is our large grassy area. This is our main outdoor event area for throughout the summer, where we have a lot of outdoor weddings. It's called the Garden Green there. They usually have their ceremonies out in the Garden Green, a beautiful outdoor wedding spot, and then they go inside the pavilion for their reception. We also have concerts on the Garden Green. Now, on our right, back in there, you're going to see what we call the tropical house. That greenhouse back there is kept at a constant temperature all year long, especially during the winter months, so we can feature those tropical plants. So feel free to go on in and visit those tropical plants. Look at these beautiful hydrangeas on my right, one of my favorite plants, the bright or the deep red there. Now, those plants actually come out white, and slowly they'll turn pink, and eventually they'll be that deep red. Right next to our rose garden. On the other side of the Russian sage and over the fence, you can see our roses. Now, the fence is not to keep you out. You are welcome to go on in. It's to keep out the deer. If you didn't know that, roses are one of the deer's favorite food, as they will eat not just the blossoms, the entire plant. So if you want to go in, no problem. Go on in and enjoy the roses. Just don't let the deer come in after you. You see on the other side what a beautiful wedding venue that could be in that big, large, grassy area called the Garden Green. Here's another cute little garden down on my left side here. This is called the pet-friendly garden. We are entirely pet-friendly throughout our garden as people bring their animals for walks here all the time. This is dedicated to our pets, though, with the artwork. You can see the kids playing in the water, all nature's friends. The plants are all non-toxic and designed that way to be pet-friendly. This is also a tribute garden. We're paying tribute to a local hero out of Silverton. If you look right through the garden near the back, you can see the one more statue, the head of a collie dog there with the yellow ribbon around it. That collie, his name is Bobby. The yellow ribbon is commemorating his 100th anniversary here. Yeah, Bobby the dog, a big hero out of Silverton. It was in the 1920s when Bobby and his family were driving across country. While they were in Indiana, Bobby got lost. They couldn't find him, but unfortunately, they had to leave him behind and return back to Silverton, Oregon without their beloved pet. Well, guess who showed up at their doorstep 6 months later? Yes, Bobby the dog had made that trip on his own, all the way from Indiana across the country over the Rocky Mountains. That is a true documented story, as we have books in the visitor center about Bobby the Wonder Dog. He's a hero out of Silverton. This is the original ranch house, when it was the Arabian Horse Ranch, now called the Fire Safe House, as the fire department are giving you ways to keep the outside of your house fire safe. Now, as we head up the hill here, we'll see the northwest garden on our left side. It's all the way up and around. Northwest garden is designed to showcase different plants that thrive in our climate here in the Northwest. These plants aren't necessarily native, they're just the ones that do so well here in Washington, in Oregon, in our Northwest garden. Now on the other side of the road here, we have what we call the natural oak grove. We call it natural because we leave it to nature. Now, a lot we do here, we'll pull the invasive species out, that's about it. And you can see the beautiful view we get here through these old oak trees as those oak trees frame that picture, looking out over the Willamette Valley farmland there. Kind of west-northwest direction. On clearer days, we can see clear to the Coast Range. Right now, we can see the Dundee Hills there. Well, the trees we're looking through are the Oregon white oak. Many of the oak trees here are up over 200 years old, and here is our oldest of the Oregon white oak. Let's see if we can spot that tree here. So go ahead and look straight ahead, and then now a little bit to my right, you're going to see a gravel road there. As that road starts to turn, look up and then set back, way back behind the turn of the road, you can see a very large oak tree with a broken limb on it and a split trunk on the bottom. Wide spreading branches up on top covered in moss. That particular oak tree is our heritage oak tree. It's our signature oak, and it's been tested as over 400 years old. That is our 400-year-old heritage oak tree, one of the signature trees here at the Oregon Garden. Considered the oldest of the Oregon white oak. All along my right side as we drive through here, this is called the native garden, featuring plants that are native to the Willamette Valley. On the other side of the road, on my left, is more of the northwest garden. You'll see the Oregon grape right there in the corner. It just happens to be our state flower, if you're not familiar with it. Very unique state flower for Oregon. The rhododendron is a Washington state flower, also very prevalent here. And this tree, I want to point out to you on my left, and kind of driving under it right now, it is not native to this area. It comes from the east here. This is a tulip poplar tree here. This tree came to us as a seedling in the year 2000, and it came from Mount Vernon. Yes, this is one of George Washington's trees. Yeah. The year 2000, the people of Mount Vernon passed out 200 of George Washington's tree seedlings, and we were fortunate to get one. Doing quite well there in the northwest garden, even though it's not native. And here are some native plants to my right. That's called Best of the West, part of the native garden. We'll pass the native garden, across the gravel road, and over the hedge, you can see the top of our pirate ship. That is part of the children's garden here. Over the hedge on our right side would be our children's garden, and we'll see that a little closer as we go up and around the corner here. Let me introduce you to a very special tree here. It's going to be the one directly on my right side. As you can see, it's kind of greenish with a little red in it. This is a lace-leaf Japanese maple tree. This particular Japanese maple tree was the very first transplant tree that we moved here. In the year 2000, a family up near Portland contacted us. They said they'd like to donate their 100-year-old Japanese maple tree to the Oregon Garden. Of course, we were very excited to receive something so old and so valuable until we realized we had to move that tree. Now, the root ball of a 100-year-old tree was actually bigger than the tree itself, weighed well over a ton, as we had to get a crane, put it on a flatbed truck, and then we moved it here late at night. So that is our Japanese maple tree. You're looking at one that is 125 years old. There's some more white blossoms of the magnolias on our left side, and that look through that and you'll see part of the Bosque, the backside of the Bosque there. That will lead right up to the Axis Garden. Those are the crisscrossing paths you see here on our left side that wander right up through the garden. We go up this area we call it the Willamette Way. Now on the right side, we're coming up on the children's garden. You can see they're getting ready for Halloween in there. There's that pirate ship we saw from the other view. Right next to the butterfly bench here closest to us, you can see the handprints on the walls. Now, those handprints were made by children in the year 2001 when we first dedicated this garden. Also coming across there, you can see our greeters are right across the way, all dressed up for Halloween there, the Potts family, or our greeters. And right next to the Potts family, you can see what we call the weird plant garden, and then the beautiful trees. Those are weeping sequoia trees that look like Dr. Seuss characters there. There's also different types of trees, another peanut butter smelling tree, as well as palm trees and banana trees, which do exceptionally well here. Funny, because they're not even close to native here. You see the Hobbit house. Kids can go through this bamboo jungle trail here on the right, and that'll lead them to a sand pit. There they can dig for the dinosaur bones that are buried there. Now that's all part of our children's garden. Next up, you can see our chickens in our chicken coop, Flopsy and Mopsy. Chickens are great for gardens. They will scratch up and eat the slugs and snails and other pests in your garden for you. Now these are laying chickens here. Straight through there, and that road, excuse me, that road in front of the chicken coop, a beautiful venue back in that day, if you get a chance to go back in there. That's where our flowers are, the dahlias and zinnias, beautiful colors. Also a grape arbor. Feel free to head back there, and that's the Silverton Market Garden wedding venue. Excuse me. And now we have the Silverton Market Garden demonstration area, where some of our volunteers are demonstrating different types of vegetables and other flowers and plants that you can plant in our garden here. This is the first part of our fruit orchard on my right. These are figs. You can see the fig trees here. There's our green covered Founder Square, brand new, just built that this summer. Well, more fruit trees here. These are pie cherries in this particular tree here, bright red berries. And then you have other cherries. We also have pears, plums, and apples all along our fruit orchard all the way down the road. Now, directly across from me on the other side of this cherry tree are hazelnuts. I don't know how familiar you are with hazelnut trees, but in the state of Oregon, they are very, very big. When I was a kid, we always called them filberts, but In the 1980s, the hazelnut industry petitioned the state of Oregon to adopt the hazelnut as their state nut and change the name. So now they are hazelnuts, and it's a good thing they did that because Oregon now leads the nation and is third in the world in hazelnut production. There's a John Deere tractor, a welcome addition, as kids love to sit on that and play farmer. On our right side, we're beginning a Christmas tree demonstration garden. Oregon leads the nation in Christmas tree production as well. If we take this road to my right, that's going to take us up into our rediscovery forest, our forest section there. We call it the rediscovery forest because that's what we had to do. When we acquired this land, that area was so crowded and overgrown, a very unhealthy forest. So we did some forest management to clear it out, thin it out, and make it the healthy forest it is now. We have a forest pavilion in there, which we use for many events, especially weddings and other things throughout the year. Even educational opportunities for kids as they're being in fifth graders and teach them about forestry. That's in our rediscovery forest. And there's our, not our, but the resort. It's called the Oregon Garden Resort. The restaurant right there, the closest to us, is called the Garden View Restaurant because they get to look right down here through the garden and see this view on the left. You can see that fountain going. That is the end of the Axis Garden fountain, also called the Tokarski fountain. As you look right down through the garden, through the to the Bosque with those maple leaves that are changing colors and those brilliant fall colors down through the area there. Now this field is left open because of the view, but also this is where we have our fireworks every year. July 3rd is our annual fireworks celebration as we get joined by up to 5,000 people, and we set off the fireworks right in the middle of this field every year, July 3rd. Directly ahead of me as we're heading right back into the wetlands, just on the other side of this beautiful dogwood tree in front of me. Clear up to my right, back up there, would be the headwaters or the first pond of our wetland system. And that system, again, is a series of 25 man-made ponds. Those ponds were developed for the city of Silverton to actually solve a problem they had. So Silverton would take their wastewater, they would send it to their water treatment plant. Once it was twice treated, they release it into the streams. Well, what Silverton found out, though, is even that water they released, even though it was clean enough, it was too warm. The higher temperature of that water was actually damaging the streams. So they needed to find a way to cool their water down before they released it. That's why they have the wetlands here. Every day now they send us 600,000 gallons of water. That water comes directly from the Silverton water treatment plant. It's pumped uphill from about a mile away. When that water gets pumped up to the top of the wetlands, it's emptied into the first pond. Once there, gravity takes over. The water naturally flows downhill from pond to pond to pond, and as it goes, it is naturally cooled and cleaned as Mother Nature gets involved here. We have found that once that water goes entirely through the wetland system and gets to the last pond, not only is it cleaner than it started, it can be up to 5 degrees cooler. Therefore, the wetlands have done their job and cooled the water. Silverton has benefits because the water that they cooled is now safe and they can release it into the streams without any damage. Oregon Garden uses a lot of their water for their own irrigation as well. So we benefit from that. Everybody gets to enjoy our beautiful wetlands through here, filled with a secret garden. On your right, on the other side of that beautiful maple tree, you can see our cactus, our cacti. I love cactus flowers when they bloom there. Well, you're right back here where we started. The visitor center coming up on our right is open until 4 o'clock, but the garden is open until dusk. There's another gate on the other side of the visitor center. If you're past 4 o'clock, you're welcome to stick around. Just have to go out the gate instead. But anyway, so I'll be around for another 5 minutes or so before my next tour. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm more than happy to answer your questions or maybe provide you with directions on how to get around here at the Oregon Garden, because I know the shortcuts. All right, thanks a lot, folks. Have a great day.